Well, it is now just about 6:50 on this Sunday morning, which means it's time for Zooming Around with Zoe. Zoe, today you are looking at the science behind climate change and the potential impact for everybody who calls this planet home.
Yes, I mean, the climate is changing. I'm sure you've heard that. I'm sure you've just heard the phrase climate change in general from scientists. But what exactly is that? And how do scientists actually know that the Earth is warming? Let's zoom into the science behind climate change. Well, first and foremost, what is climate change? It's just a term referring to the long-term temperature shifts and weather patterns across the globe. NASA scientists actually analyzed weather data from over 25,000 points all across the world, both on land and in the water, to make this graph of the average global temperature throughout the years. And as you can see, from 1880 through about 1970, there are some natural ebbs and flows. There's some warm years, there's some cold years. It's a relatively normal pattern. But look at what happens after 1970. The temperature, it has not gone down once since. It is that steady line up. It doesn't ebb and flow like it should over the course of about 50 years. So we have definitive data that over the course of the past 150 or so years, the climate has been warming. But you might say, Zoe, aren't there normal ebbs and flows, warms and cold periods throughout basically the entire history of Earth, well before humans were alive, like ice ages and volcanic events? Climate change includes it all, not just the heat. In fact, we're actually coming out of an ice age right now. So in the history of the past 450 million years, it's a relatively cold period in the grand scheme of Earth's history. But the issue is the rate at which we're warming. That is the cause for concern. Since 1950, just over the past 70 years, the Earth has warmed 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, just 2 degrees, but the largest mass extinction event in history occurred when the Earth warmed more than 18 degrees in the span of about 50,000 years. So again, when we're talking about the history of Earth, it's long-term periods. So if we continue warming 2 degrees every 100 years, that's a relatively short period in the history of Earth, and that's underestimating it because we've warmed 2 degrees in just the past 70 years, we would be up to that 18-degree Fahrenheit mark in less than a quarter of the time that it took the biggest mass extinction event. Plants and animals, they just can't keep up with this pace of warming, which means that another mass extinction event is almost inevitable. In fact, there's actually about 44% of coral reefs and 41% of amphibians that are currently under the threat of extinction, according to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. So yes, we are already seeing a widespread extinction event. Although it might not be considered a mass extinction event right now, we are going to continue to see warming temperatures that is likely going to lead to even more concerns. So it's something that we're keeping, obviously, a very close eye on. It is the reason that we talk about climate change so much. We know definitively that it's happening. And you notice that I did not mention one time there anything about humans causing it. That's because I don't want to get political here at all. I'm literally just talking science. I'm showing you facts right now. Our climate is warming. That is a fact. That is all I'm saying. Mic drop there.
Well, this is one of those reasons we like doing Zooming Around with Zoe, so we can really dive into some of these more detailed weather phenomenon that we're experiencing both here and all around the entire world.
Exactly.
And that's why we do Zooming Around with Zoe. Everybody.
Hopefully you learned a little something there.
All right. Thanks for that, Zoe.